Okay, who we got here?
Ngahuia.
What a beautiful name.
Yeah, it's pretty
What does
good,
it
isn't
mean?
it? Yeah, I sat in it just recently, and Na means it's NGA. In Maori we pronounce it Na without the
Na.
G. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that means many. And Huia is the Huia bird in Aotearoa, so a lot of our family are named after the birds there.
Okay.
Yeah, so Huia is the feather that our prophets and our chiefs wear. They have this beautiful black feather with a white tip on it. You can see it on the top of the head. So many. I stand with many.
I love it.
Yeah,
I
you
love
like
it.
that one, eh?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I
It was
do.
really good to come with. Yeah, I feel like I've come of age to really lean into that.
Yeah.
And
It's
so,
a time for it now. It's a time to decide, are you going to be a non-player character or are you going to defend humanity?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So,
And so where should we start with your story? I'm taking it, because you're talking to me, you probably didn't participate in the great gene therapy?
what I did, I did have the jab.
Okay, how
By the
many did you
way,
have?
I had the whole lot.
Oh,
I
really?
think, I had the whole lot.
So up to 3 or 4 boosters?
Up to 3 boosts. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, 3. And it was,
What were you doing then? What was your work?
so I'm a civil celebrant.
Oh,
Yeah. So I've always held space for sacred, for ceremonies, in my view,
Yeah.
that life is a ceremony,
Yeah.
and to honour those ritual passages.
Yeah.
So my service for offering for our communities is, officiating marriages, birthings, as well as death. So I take ashes back out to sea.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's the ceremonies that we have. So
So initially you were fine with everything was happening? You thought taking the vaccine made sense?
no, I was not. I was
Oh.
not fine with it, and it really turned into, it was in my own family, educated, and we have a really, we live off grid. We have a beautiful life here on the Eyre Peninsula. So I've got a diverse community and good sisterhood, we've
Yeah.
got good sister circles. So
So did you take it to just remain being a civil servant and do what you
yeah,
want to do?
yeah, it was that part of my family wanted to, and others didn't, and I knew I didn't want to, and then it got, because I work for the government as a civil celebrant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what came under is that you couldn't keep your civil celebrant license.
Oh, you couldn't even keep your license?
No, if you didn't have the jab.
So they really blackmailed you with your chosen career?
Yeah, and so that sort of was starting to tip the scale already,
Yeah.
of like, okay, do I have a choice? And then we had a calling to go back home to Aotearoa, and so I wasn't able to hop on international flights.
Yeah.
So that was it, and so I felt like I followed that,
Yeah.
and I had my own grievance about it and grieved about that as well. And
It's been a really difficult thing for you as a person, because obviously you're a strong person, that you're sort of being forced to do something, but if you don't do it, you're going to lose all this.
yeah, and more of, we've touched on base about those services you can offer for your community,
Yeah.
and it's really, this is something that's really important, and I feel like that's the light I need to be in.
Yeah.
So I want to continue to be there. I think the good thing about it is that I'm able to have conversations on both sides.
Yeah.
Like, it's important for me that, as a Māori woman, Indigenous woman, is that I'm in every room and all the
Yeah.
doors are open and I'm at the table. So I've got a compassionate ear.
So like a bridge builder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where my strength is. I'm a bridge builder, always been able to hold space and sacred and in ceremonies. So it feels like I'm a space where people can come and talk,
Yeah.
and because I have that empathy on both sides, and it's authentically my story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after the third, they couldn't convince you to take the fourth?
No, I felt like I had ticked all the boxes by then,
Yeah.
and I chose to, I'll up my health, I'll up my surfing, I'll do everything I can do to help my tinana, my body, my wairoa, my spirit, my henenaro, my mind, for clarity, and still have custodian of that space for me. So that's the conscious choices I did, my saunas, everything I did, kept good energy around me, make sure I always return back to the sea. And that way, so there was a grievance in that, being in circles with family and friends that, didn't have the medication or the jab, and sitting there and listening to them and then listening to conversations that those that did, And, I felt like, it's, let's let go of this and them,
Yes.
they and us, because it's separating us. And
Did you find similarities in the conversations? Like, did they have the same issues?
Yeah,
Even though they were divided by society?
I feel like authentically the people I was speaking to was not there were a few radical conversations on each side,
Yep.
going on, and I don't shy away from that. I don't go in there feeling like I know more than all. I really just was curious about and listening,
Yeah.
being a storyteller like yourself, you can
Yeah.
understand you want to be in that space. So I could hear it was radical on both sides if you went to the end of it. But really, when it come closer to my own family circle and my own sisterhood and friendships, everyone was really choosing to do the right thing with the information they had at that time for them.
They felt like they were doing the right thing based on their circumstances.
Based on their circumstances, not so much on the jab, but on their circumstances.
Yes.
You know, what was going to be more harmonious for them in their livelihood,
Yeah.
more harmonious for them in their fellowship and community, more harmonious for them with the relationships they wanted to keep going with,
Yeah.
So
100%.
that was the reality of it.
Because I do believe we have to come to a point now, because we're facing so many issues, that we can't divide ourselves on jabbed and unjabbed. Even though I interview both now. I interview jabbed, injured and stuff, but initially it was mainly the unjabbed I was interviewing because they'd been ostracised and they were dealing with that. But now times are moving on. We've got hate speech laws, we've got economic downturn. I mean, we're facing real huge threats now.
Yes.
And that division is not, I don't see it as important as much anymore.
Well, then we'll talk about, I guess, the injury here, and to lean into what you're saying is that I felt like when the places were closed, on the Eyre Peninsula, we still had space. I mean, we live off grid on 3 acres, so we had a bit of space to still connect to country, still to connect to mother and to nature.
Yeah.
And so for our mental well-being was still there, intact, as much as we could. For sure, isolation from family members, that couldn't be that. So I feel like the grievances, or what I'm feeling now, is people having that disconnection to nature,
Yeah.
and as a result the mental health is, plummeting, because it's just flapping around in the wind. It's like, where am I grounded? Where am I rooted into?
Yeah.
So
Do you think a lot of that has come to the point where so many people tell us they think Australia's lost its identity? It doesn't know who it is anymore. And so that's a part of the grounding. It's very hard to be connected if you feel like things have changed so radically, you don't actually know where you're standing anymore.
Look, and I feel like just play and curiosity, us being still maintaining to be wild, it brings us back to that connection like you talked about. And so, I can agree with that. It's like, what is the identity? What do I connect to? So I have spoken about this already today, which is great that we're aligned today. Right? I talked to a dear friend and brother in Los Angeles today, and she says, what fires you up, Ngahuia? What's going on with you? And I said, it's this division of, like, coming to this colonised place, and then we've got this beautiful Indigenous culture here, and all the answers are in that beautiful Indigenous culture, and I feel like I'm in the middle here, just this big gap.
Yeah.
If I were to stay in Aotearoa, coming of this age as that I am, I've come of age to be in that space of elder, of being able to see, because we have these rites of passage, and it helps us deal with, the bumps and scrapes and the apprentice of life.
Yes.
And when we don't have that, you feel lost.
Yes.
And so that's where that grievance is there. And because, so we don't have this, we won't come straight out and say we're this Indigenous country and we've got this culture here, right? So now we're having closures where you can't connect to the mother and to all the teachings and the wisdoms of land and country and the sky and all the nature. So now we're really separating ourselves as beings from the natural world. And then you're feeling, well, then what am I?
Yes.
What am I?
Yeah.
And that's where I feel where my heart would like to see this bridge up here. And
Do you know what's interesting when you talk about this? Like, I know in schools now they're teaching about gender and all this, but say in Port Lincoln, it'd be great if the kids in Port Lincoln were taught, if they went out into the bush here, where to find water. So they're not scared of their country. Because at the moment, we get a little kid lost, even a teenager, it's like the whole world goes, oh my God, he's in the bush, he doesn't know where he is. The bush is going to kill him because we're like visitors here, we're on a dangerous planet. When in actual fact, he'll be fine. He knows where to find water. He'll sort himself out.
Yeah. And having those, I feel like those basic skills of being in the wild, and not being afraid. Like, I'm not allergic to the sea. I'm not allergic to the grass. So it's okay, you know what I mean? Like,
Not allergic to the
I'm
sun.
not allergic to the sun.
Yeah.
I can. And when I connect to a place, so part of our journey this past 4 years is making Fishery Bay a surfing reserve. And the language of trying to make this a reserve. It's like, first of all, surfers, they don't work, and then also, whose country is that out there? And are you trying to own that country? What happens if that becomes a reserve and we keep it wild and we don't want to establish it into things that are threatening, like they want to do, whalers won't put rockets on here, and we'll say, no, you can't do that, it's not going to be good for the nature, man,
Yeah.
So that has been a big journey here, having to go back into rooms and talking to councils and committees and say, hey, you guys are safe. We're all in this together, eh?
Yeah.
We're just all sitting around the table to ensure that we keep the place nice and clean, the air clean, so that we're at a stage where legacy, so that your children, all our grandchildren can still connect to a place and feel like they are home, so that they know that they stand strong.
You think that'd be a duty for one generation to do that?
I feel like, that's my hope.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're not having to reinvent the wheel here. We've got a culture that's so strong here, the most ancient culture that has all that big medicine here for us to be able to connect with.
Yeah.
And so that it also gives us that liberation of thought. Like, actually, I don't feel like that line there is green. It looks blue to me. And so, I feel safe and secure myself. Tell me what you see. And where does that come from, And that connecting to country, to connect into wild, I feel keeps us stronger, and for us to be intelligent, and to be coexisting with nature, not this suppressed, and this is your thought, now everyone line up, start moving that way. And I feel this next generation are too clever for this now, They're not going to have that.
No, I feel the younger are far cleverer than what they're given credit for.
Yeah, they're giving it, and I'm lucky because being in a surfing culture and my curiosity of storytelling, and people like to share stories, and I know you can connect with that, is that I have diverse conversations. So we're a lot of 20-year-olds and these young bucks and young bloods coming out, you know what I mean? They're still full of the froth and they've got things they want to say. And they're saying, being off grid, being in nature, connecting, identification of what's the culture here, what's the stories here.
Yeah.
So as a civil celebrant, I've seen many with the ceremony, such as funerals, like having funerals here in Polynesian and the Māori, we like to, our ceremonies go for 3 days, we like to feel it, we lean into it, man, we lean into it, eh?
Yeah.
We disperse, and just come back stronger for it, we're not afraid of that. And I saw, I'm in my 50s now, and I saw the new age come through, and it was, okay, well, letting go of religion, fair enough, you feel like that's, a hold on you, but what are you going to connect to,
Yeah.
What are you going to connect to? So when it comes to these things like funerals, I've officiated a few now, and the most recent is like, our community doesn't know what to do, they don't know what to do with their grief. They don't know how to, what's allowed, what's sacred, what's the ceremony going to do, They don't want to go back into the church, or, for every reasons. I myself work alongside with everyone, just as long as the intention is there, and we're being authentic, right? And you have that feeling. So I've seen this isolation and this grief going on, and during all that time when we have our borders closed and access to not, in the natural world, and having conversations, and being able to think different and still sit at the table and still feel heard.
How do Maoris view death? Are they frightened of it, or is it seen as going to some other? What's their view?
Look, well, we'll start off with you spoke about the dear brother having a hongi with you and pressing up to your nose.
Yeah.
Ha is the breath of life, it's Tihe Maori Ora, I am life, I'm that breath. And so straight from there we all connect in this human being that we are the breath of life. So that's the beginning for us, you know, and everything is life. So we're here to live the life, to be in service for Mother, for Papa Tuanuku, you know, to protect and preserve, to be in this legacy. Just come, you know, this is your playground, this is the natural world, come out, you know, we have all the medicine you need. So when it comes, so we have this rite of passage. So at the age, at 51, I'm out that rite of passage. I'm not a young blood in the 20s just frothing around, just freaking out, thinking life is epic, you know, and you know, and then you go in your 30s, and it's a time in 30s for me at least, that time in service of being a mama, you know, and you're doing a bit of hustle, you're working, you know, building the home, and try not to lose myself too much in Western culture, stay in Māori culture, you know what I mean? So all of that as this evolution.
So you're like walking on the fence, really,
trying to keep both, but try not to ensure that the ego is running that show. So it really is always that checking in, and for checking for me, for Māori, is coming back to nature, you know. So I'm on the Eyre Peninsula, so the biggest mother here is the ocean. So I'm going to come out and play in the sea, and then just have a wash. And you think, okay, I'm not alone. We're good. Let's keep going. You know, let's just keep on going.
Even your language of calling it the mother, the greatest mother here. There's 4 Indigenous ladies I took a photo of on the side of the bus.
Oh yes.
We did an interview with them. We spent about 2 hours with them. They were in the real bush, Waroona, I think, in WA. And I looked at it and I said, look, I look at this bush, and I think if I didn't have my bus, in a day, 2, I'd be dead. I don't know, you know, it's like a hostile environment. Even though I love it, it's hostile. They saw it as their mother. They knew exactly, so you can get food there, you can eat this, you can, you know, it's how you find water, and they had no fear of it. And I thought, I came here when I was 5, but the real progression, evolutionary progression, would be to have our culture, no matter what race you are, Vietnamese, white race, Celtic or Indian, whatever, that we're connected to the land in the same way. And that would be really Australian then. We're not frightened of the land we're standing upon. We're not visitors. We've been almost adopted by the land. We are now true Australians. I'd love to see that. And the only way I can see that is education from the tribes and people that were here. Same in New Zealand, same here. So if the Indigenous came in and told us, well, this is how you can survive in your particular area, I think that could really help bring people together.
Yeah, I saw the aunties on the bus. They'd love that, going for a little ride with you around Australia.
They were so great. Oh my God, it's one of the best interviews ever.
They would love that.
They were so funny. And they'd just been with Trudeau.
Yeah, right.
A few weeks before, or a month before, they'd been in Canada at a special dinner with Trudeau, and now they were talking to me in the bush around a campfire, cooking kangaroo tails.
You know, authentically holding space the way they do, that aunties can, you know. And do you know why? It's because they've got that beautiful foundation and those roots, you know, into the land. So they know where they are and where they are of. Yes. You know, where you are of. And when you know that, you can stand there and you can hold that space and just surrender to it. You know, that's awesome. That's so good. And I wish that for all. And we have this wealth of our Indigenous brothers and sisters here, you know, to be able to share that. So when we lift this fear of like colonisation and, you know, wanting things to be like this, and it's just so head, you know, and then we live in Australia where Uluru is the heart of the chakra here, the heart of the space here. It's like, you know, humble yourself, listen, you know, your cups are not full, have a listen, so sit down. You know, and then from this I feel like we can come out of that individual thinking and that, you know, that just I am that and this is that, I own that and I'm the star here, from where I stand that's the north, that's the west. Just like, no dude. You know, it's,
you can still be you,
can be you,
but you're a part of a collective.
You're part of a collective. You're part of a beautiful collective, but also will answer those things that you need in your heart, or whatever it is that you need that you're feeling a little bit jubbity about, you're a little bit shaky about, you know. And it's as simple, sitting in circles on land with sister circles and just listening to our aunties, you know. Here's a simple one, even at home would say, in warriors would say, well, the answer is the bottom of that teapot there, you know. Let's fill up the teapot, you know. Let's sit down and yarn
just
it
talk.
out. And let's just yarn it out, let's talk.
Well, what you're saying now is, so you've had 3, I've had nothing.
Yep.
And so literally the way the world is at the moment, you think you two and I could not connect. And yet here we are having a beautiful conversation. Neither is judging the other. This
Yeah.
is through talking and dialogue we can do this.
We can. And I feel like we can bridge that.
Yeah.
You know, it's all good. You know, I've had friends that have had it and they went, oh, per day. I went, oh, per day, you dork. You know, unconsciously, or, you know, people that, and I have been straight up, you know, those that haven't had the jab. You know, I said, you still want to be mates, or we're gonna keep hanging out on the table, mate? You still want to break bread with me, or what? And they're like, yeah. And I go, well, that's okay then, you know. But I'll tell you what brought it through is I saw the love sign. I thought, well, I'll go and take a picture of the love sign on the Eyre Peninsula here, painted by Indigenous sisters here, of this is Kalanjala land, you know, called fresh waters, spring waters here. So they painted that. Then I saw your darling down there, and I said, would you like to take a photo? And then I started heading towards the bus because I saw that, and then so here we are. You know, like, yeah, it's just, there's the invitation's always there when we're listening to come and sit and talk some good stuff, you know, some authentic stuff, and it's healing. I feel our community wants this. Our
Community wants to
us.
heal.
The community wants to heal.
Yeah.
Humanity wants to heal on this.
Yeah.
You know, that,
We don't need hate speech laws. We just need discussion. We need dialogue.
yeah, we need dialogue. You know, so you can open it up. You're not alone. I feel during that time, there's another thing that's happening over here. Like during that time, felt like they were making it up every week here, you know. You know, unfortunately, we have a bit of space here, so we didn't have it too much in the face, you know what I mean? We knew, okay, the supermarkets are going down and things like that, and you can't roam around here. I did roam around a bit actually because, you know, I did. I wasn't going to stop coming for swims and surfing. That's silly for me, you know. Another thing that's happening. So there were a lot of ceremonies in regards, swing back to ceremonies. So my nieces, you know, they couldn't have their graduation days. You know, they'd spent all these years in this institution at school, man. You know, they were looking forward to getting dressed up and hurrah, we're out of there. And they couldn't have that. You know, in their 20s couldn't get up and travel, you know, like we did. We could get out and go on the road and go and explore, make some, you know, fuck up, you know, make some mistakes and just, life, you know, have those adventures and add that to our life. So there's this grief coming from that too, you know, like, oh, auntie, or when do I get my turn? And, you know, has there been a stunt of growth going on here due to not having those experiences? So, you know, you've got that sort of stuff going on.
Yeah. You remind me of a belief that I have, that I've used in my plays and stuff, but it's really my belief. I think life can get really hard for everybody, whether you get sick yourself or a loved one gets sick or tragedies. We all go through great obstacles and challenges. But I believe the gods, whatever gods you believe in, gave us one great gift to get through everything, and that's each other.
Yeah, that's each other. I mean, be boring with by myself, looking at the same face.
That's